This is George Dionne with Metal Express Radio, and I'm here with Glam of the band Wig Wam. How you doing today, Glam?
I'm fine. It's cold up here in northern Norway, but we survive.
Yeah, it's getting cold here. We're supposed to get a foot of snow tonight.
Oh, cool! You can make a snowman.
Yes, we can. If I knew absolutely nothing about Wig Wam, how would you describe the band's music to me?
Oh, it's pure hard rock with elements of glam rock, and nowadays it's more kind of classic hard rock with a small taste of metal.
Yeah, so that's fairly accurate.
I think so. Yeah, when we started up, it was more like an ironic band. We were like Steel Panther before Steel Panther was even thought of. So so we started up. When we got started, we were literally just a jam band, finally playing some good old Van Halen tunes and Motley Crue tunes, Led Zeppelin tunes, and back in 2000, that kind of music was passé and it was so outdated. So nobody would let us play music like that, except from this small live club in a place called Halden in Norway, which suddenly led us to our first gig. It was on an 80s party night, So in 3 days before the gig, we had to come up with a name and an image. So in 3 days, during a photo session with an old, like the old digital cameras, we came up with the band name and the names of our characters and the costumes and stuff that we were, and we were literally just a party band playing old tunes from Kiss and Van Halen and stuff like that, and we made up this story that these were actually our own songs that were stolen from us back in the early 70s. But we were so drugged back then, so we claimed them back, and we played the original versions of them live on stage. But after a while, we started to write our own music, and we mixed them with all the cover stuff without introducing them as original music. And people came backstage and asked us what that Kiss song or what that Van Halen song or whatever was. That song after Panama. What was that song again? Van Halen. It was one of our own. So that's how we got started. And after a while, we released our first album, 667, The Neighbor of the Beast, which was kind of a tongue-in-cheek, and from there we slowly grew into more and more our own style, and became more or less slaves of that image. Nowadays we just take back the music, and we are so proud of the music we make nowadays, and so now we're in it for the music. First and foremost.
Coming up next month, you have a new album coming out with Wig Wam on January 22nd. Never Say Die.
Yeah.
So this is a comeback for Wig Wam. You guys actually broke up in 2013. What happened there?
Oh, lots of stuff. We were, especially Tron Tini and myself, we were kind of, fighting a lot, back in the days. Mostly because we toured too much. I mean, one year we played, like 200 concerts, and, we traveled in helicopters and private planes, and we were, it was crazy, and we drank too much, and it was, too hectic. Yeah. And all of a sudden, he started to wanting things his way, and I wanted to have things in my way, and we started, the typical battle between a singer and a guitar player. And ended up, us not being the best of friends, and then he started with this Dracula stuff with Dionne, That was supposed to be a Wig Wam theme, and Dionne, did all the vocal takes behind my back and stuff like that. So yeah,
Ooh.
so yeah, so in 2013, I just told the guys, this is our last gig. Goodbye. And I drove from that gig and I never looked back. Started a new band with Mickey D and John Norum from Europe, Nordic Peace. And then I started this band with Erik Mortensen from Eclipse, Ammunition. Mm-hmm. And because we had already started to work on, Wig Wam songs, demoing Wig Wam songs that I made. Back in the days, I was always, on tour, either with Wig Wam or with my Queen show, and so I never sat down in a studio, and I've never been this studio guy, tweaking, all the buttons and working with a bass drum sound. I'm too restless for that. So normally I would bring in, my songs. I would play them acoustic and present the songs and try to, describe what I wanted. While Tron was always constantly sitting inside his studio making finished versions of the songs. So I thought that was kind of pretty hard to get your songs through, especially when he was the producer. So for the last time that I decided to record all my songs in a professional studio before I presented them. So I went to Erik Mortensen's place and, then the band broke up and we had like 5 songs. And Erik asked me, what you would do with these songs? Maybe are you doing a solo album or what the fuck are we doing? Oh, should we start a band? Yeah, let's start a band. And for me back then, it was very important for me to start a band with, containing good friends, because there was so much struggle within, Wig Wam at the time. So what I really needed to have good friends around me. So the band was more or less started because I wanted to have, kind of a social place for my music. Yeah.
Yep.
So here we are.
You're here in 2021.
8 years later.
You're back together. How did it get all back together?
Yeah, and I bumped into Bernd, Flash at one of the gigs I did with my Queen show, and it kind of felt, a bit awkward meeting the guys, not being kind of friends anymore. It was so much unsettled stuff from the past. And one time I attended a gig, that Tron did with his old band Dream Police, and I was about to leave the place. I was actually, I snuck in and I was standing in the back of the arena there, but he had seen me. So one of the guards came to me and invited me backstage because Tron wanted to talk to me, and we were just having some beers. And after that, we started to connect a bit better. We didn't talk about a reunion back then. This was like 2015, 16 or something. But I had received, gotten requests from the Norwegian Broadcasting year after year if we could do, one-off at the, Eurovision Song Contest final, like a break appearance, shock appearance.
Yeah. And
I always declined. I always told them, no, that's not happening over my dead body. But after a while, when Tron and myself had started to talk a bit more, I invited him to my home, and we were just gonna, have a cup of coffee and talk about the old days. And we were, talking for like 2 or 3 hours. And I started to invite the other guys, and after a while, I started to realize that we're about to become friends again. Maybe I should tell them that I've received these requests. And and so we accepted the request to do this break appearance in the Eurovision Song Contest in 2020. We're supposed to do In My Dreams. Then I started to see Tron a bit more, and it seemed he had started to write on a song, which ended up being Never Say Die, the title track. And we thought, maybe we should do that instead of In My Dreams. Maybe both songs. And while we're at it, why shouldn't we also maybe do a couple of gigs if we're kind of back together again? And so we accepted a couple of requests from some festivals and Tons of Rock and another festival. And soon enough, we started to write more songs, and now we have a whole album full of new material. And we're ready to tour again too. So,
oh, excellent! Why don't we talk about a couple of the songs on the album that you've already released? Kilimanjaro, you're as high as Kilimanjaro.
Yeah.
What's the story behind that one?
Well, to be honest, that song was supposed to be on the next Ammunition album. I thought it was going to be a pretty cool sequel to Wild Card. Written pretty much in the same way, but then I started to change the lyrics a bit, and I ended up with singing about our past and the camaraderie that we had back in the days, the kind of lifestyle that wasn't good at all, and so it ended up being a Wig Wam song, saying something about us regretting some parts of our past, because when you're driving 190 kilometers an hour, it's pretty fast, and that's how life was back then. Everything was fast. 3 concerts a day sometimes,
Wow.
And you do stuff that you aren't proud of today, and you try to change that.
So let's talk about the song "Never Say Die."
Yeah, that was just the first song that the Tron had started to write when we were talking about getting back together, and it's more or less about the situation that we are in right now. Who would believe that we would get back together and never say die? I mean, it's a song about us. Yeah.
Yep.
Where we're from and where we're heading.
So, do you have any other songs planned as a single before the album comes out next month?
Oh yeah, there will be the third single will be called Hypnotized. It's actually a song that one of 2 songs that Tron, 3 songs that Tron and I wrote together. This time we wrote more together than on the previous albums. Actually, we were like 4 or 5 songs ahead in studio, and I was driving back from the studio, and I was listening to some music, and then suddenly this guitar riff popped up from Tron's studio promotion video. Really cool guitar riff, and I thought, wow, this is hot. And on my way, I just had a verse and a bridge and some more and some lyrics to it. And the next day in the studio, I asked him, that riff that you play on the studio promotional video that's your riff, right? Yeah. Is that a song? No, hell no. But it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. It's damn cool. I just made a verse and a bridge. You did, yeah. And I had recorded something back home on my iPhone, and suddenly we were writing this song, and it ended up really cool. Have you heard it?
Oh yeah, I've heard the whole album. It's great.
Yeah, Hypnotized is damn cool. I really love it.
It's actually the first Wig Wam album I've heard.
Oh, congratulations!
Yeah, I went back and I downloaded the rest of them. Actually, I like that style of glam, hard rock, melodic stuff.
Cool. I think I kind of, when you talk about the music, I think on this record, you will easily hear that we matured a bit, and it's more about the music, and we aren't too occupied of thinking about, the conceptual way of making an album, like maybe Wig Wam and some of the other albums.
Right.
We are, it just came naturally on this one.
Sure. This is your third album with Frontiers Music. How did your relationship with them begin?
It started up, I mean, we were re-signed to a company called Cosmos, same record company that had TNT back in the days, and they were collaborating with Frontiers on nonstop rock and roll. So Cosmos had us we had to deal with Cosmos for Scandinavia, I think, and Frontiers did the rest of the world except Japan. And then when we were to release Wall Street, we did a deal directly with Frontiers. So that was actually our first real album on the Frontiers label. And I remember Serafino couldn't believe his ears when he heard Wall Street because it was so bad. What the fuck is this? You have some moments on that album that is good, but we didn't know what we were, what that album was going to be. Yeah, it was very schizophrenic. So some of us wanted it to be harder, some of us wanted it to be, softer, and we kind of wanted to develop. So that was our way of experimenting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Bernd, Flash, he also wrote more songs on that album than ever before. So he brought in a total new style, too. So, it's, yeah. I can still listen to it. I think some songs are great. Wall Street, the title track, is damn cool. That's a song that we're going to keep for the set list. We have some songs there that I just shake my head.
We all got to start somewhere, right?
Oh yeah.
So you also have a solo career. You released a solo album, Crossing the Rubicon, in 2019. It's kind of the opposite direction of Wig Wam.
Oh yes, it is, and it's a purpose for that. I mean, if I'm to release a solo album, if I was to release a rock and roll album, hard rock style, the style that I love and that I normally do, why would I do that with different guys? I mean, that's more like a band thing, I think.
Right.
When you play in a band, you have a great guitar player and usually the best drummer and bass player that you know. So why change? I mean, that's the whole thing about being in a band, to rock and roll together. For a solo album, I've always thought, for a solo album, that's my playground. That's when I can do music more, personally. I can be, I can do other stuff, and for the two latest albums, Smooth Seas Don't Make Good Sailors and Crossing the Rubicon, that was more like, me getting stuff out of my system. And especially Smooth Seas. That was an album that I never had intentions of releasing, actually, because that started up being Dan Reed, Åge Sten Nilsen album. We were going to do a duo album.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
So were you both going to dress up in the sailor suit on the cover?
No. Dan and me, we had a joint tour in 2016 called Acoustic Stories, where we, talked about the past, the booze and all the stuff that we regretted, and all the good things of life and the bad things of life, the roller coaster of living out on the road, and ups and downs. And we did, our old material acoustic. Only brought a bass player and a guy playing different instruments, like banjo and some a fiddle, And we decided that we wanted to record these new acoustic versions of our songs, like Rainbow Child, In My Dreams, stuff like that, for an album before the next tour. So I started to record some of my stuff when Dan was still on tour with Dan Reed Network. And one day in the studio, I was playing this new song I had written called Pipe Dreams. The producer heard it and he really wanted me to record it. And so I did. we could have one new song on that album, we thought. But, during recording that song, I suddenly had 3-4 more. We started just to record it, and suddenly we had a full album, plus those old songs. Yeah, so it's very necessary production for my sake, and also the start of my unplugged tour. So I've been touring a lot, the past years alone, just me bringing the piano and acoustic guitar, and doing like more like biographical kind of talking about my life and the ups and downs, and some concerts could actually last for 3 or 4 hours. So yeah.
You mentioned you're from the home area as TNT, and I noticed that you did a single with the daughter of Denzel from TNT, Karina Dahl. How did that come about?
No, that started up, the quarantine life. that's when I was supposed to stay at home and finally have a chance to settle down here. I just moved here with my girlfriend up here in Trondheim. I actually come from a place down south called Sarpsborg, very close to the Swedish border. Yes, I moved up here, and Karina and myself, we did that song like in November, maybe October 2019, and it was supposed to be more like a collaboration, doing the corporation gigs and stuff like that. So we recorded this song. I was invited to do this song in Norwegian language, Norwegian version of Shallow. I went in and recorded it, and I thought it sounded great, and we started to work on a video. But when the COVID-19 came along, everything stopped, and the guy, the producer, and the guy who owned the tapes, he really just wanted to share the video and the song on his private Facebook, and so we did. One night, I was driving from my old place up here to Trondheim, and he just called me, telling me, we had just let everything go. He just let it, he just published it on his private Facebook just to share it, because everything would die anyway. So 1 hour later, he called me telling me, 150,000 people had already seen it, and people started to share it. And in the morning when I woke up, it was like 1.5 million people that had viewed it, and then 2 million, and it was just, and we still hadn't, we still hadn't got the permission to use it. We still needed one signature from one of the songwriters. Lady Gaga had approved, luckily. And the media was all over the place, and we still hadn't released it on Spotify. And then we didn't release it on Spotify until like May, and now it's like almost 3 million streams. So wow. It's been a cool experience. Yeah.
Do you have any involvement with any future Nordic Peace material? Is that pretty much done?
Nordic Peace was supposed to be like an all-star band playing, songs from each other's careers. But we got together because I had John Norum playing with me in my Queen show, and one night when I came backstage, Mickey D was in his room, and they wanted to start a band. And I thought, in the beginning when we founded that band, that was because Mickey D, he really wanted something else to do after Motorhead, and he saw, Lemmy was getting older and weaker, and he was very hungry for playing music live still, Mickey D. So we thought, this could be a cool thing to do, and maybe record some original material after a while too. But then he got the Scorpions gig, and Europe is always busy, and I started to be busy with my stuff. in ammunition. So, all these busy folks, we still talk, and we still talk about, doing stuff together again. Actually, I just came back from Stockholm, just finished my songs for John Noran's soul album. So we, kind of work together in different ways.
Nice. Is there a future for ammunition as well?
Oh yeah, we are still alive and kicking. Now I live like 45 minutes from the bass player Victor, who used to play bass in TNT. So we're very close to each other now, and much easier to write music. But with ammunition, we got into some problems when both me and Eric was so busy. Him with Eclipse, and I with my solo projects and my Queen shows. Yeah. Ended up being on tour, and sometimes he would come and sometimes he didn't. He couldn't. So I sometimes had to play electric guitar and to step in for him. We even had Magnus Henriksson doing his parts one night.
Oh yeah.
Most of the Eclipse guys have been in ammunition. We had their drummer Magnus Ulfstedt, their bass player Magnus Ulfstedt.
Yep.
He played bass, and we had Robban Beck, their former drummer. He used to play in ammunition. Eric in ammunition, and Magnus Henriksson has also been doing a live gig with us. So yeah. But yeah, to answer your question, of course, yeah, we have more albums in sight. We still don't know what to make of the Wig Wam thing, because it's so early. So we don't know. Is this gonna be a full-time job? Is this gonna be a part-time job? Is this gonna be have any future at all? That all depends on people like you and people on the fans.
Yeah.
If enough people are digging it and want us to come out and play live, we'll probably do that. And also depending on how we are getting along, after a while, maybe we get back to fighting again. You never know.
So you got Wig Wam going on, you got ammunition going on, you got your Queen tribute that tours. You just said you finished working on the John Norum solo album that's coming up. Is there anything else that you're working on that you could talk about?
Yeah, I'm working on my house. I'm going to get married next year.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. No, I think that's enough. Yeah, and
it's enough on your plate.
No, actually, I'm going to write some music with Pretty Maid's guitar player Ken Hammer also. So there's enough projects, but it's okay. I mean, this is my job. I don't do anything else than performing and making music. So, and now I also have a song coming up for the Eurovision Song Contest. I don't know, when is this going to broadcast?
This probably in the next 2 weeks.
Okay, then I can't tell you anything about it.
Oh, whatever.
I have a song coming up for the Eurovision Song Contest with a good friend of mine and a good friend of Trond Halter, and he's gonna be the singer. It'll be a cool thing. Yeah, it's a song called "Faith, Bloody Faith." So yeah. But to answer your question, it's when this is your 100% work, it's always good to have something to tour with, and making an album, going out on tour with a band, and in the midst of that tour, you write new songs and you release a new album with either a solo project or the same band or another band, and that's how I've been working, ever since I stopped having a daytime job in 2000. And when we were finished with a Wig Wam tour, the guys would go back to their daytime jobs. I would go straight into the next tour bus and continuing, touring with my Queen show. It was also always, like a second home to me. Yeah,
I mean, it's great to have that opportunity that you do. I mean, I think a lot of musicians in the U.S. they're certainly not depending on music, but I've noticed that a lot of the European guys are able to, latch onto that as a career.
yeah, so especially in Norway, I've become kind of a household name in Norway for myself. And so, I hosted some TV shows and, do a lot of TV here. So it's easier for me to get, the corporation gigs that pay well. And I do some, TV stuff that pays well. And, so I don't always have to rely on the bands that I do. Mm.
So that's all I got for you today, Glam. Thank you for talking.
Yeah, nice talk.
Express Radio.